Nottingham Forest are targeting a move for rival Jacob Widell Zetterström, and it's a move which has come as a shock to many Derby County fans and even those of the Forest end as well. It's a move which we aren't anticipating to see actually come to fruition, but it's one which definitely needs to be discussed. Now, over the course of recent years, Nottingham Forest have gone through a vast majority of their keepers, and a lot of them have moved on permanently, and obviously they've got, I think it sells in between the sticks at the moment. But obviously for Derby, Jacob Widell Zetterström has been their number one, and he's been absolutely flying across the course of this season. But could a move happen in the January transfer window? Let's dive into it. Now, this is the Derby Digest. If you have not done so already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. We'll be live tomorrow for Derby County versus Middlesbrough from around 2 o'clock onwards. So if you haven't done so already, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. Now, Jacob Widell Zetterström is a player who has attracted quite a decent chunk of interest over the course of the last 12 months. Brentford put in an informal £3.5 million offer during the summer transfer window, which obviously never went anywhere. And that led to Derby County sort of being in this position a little bit in limbo when it comes to Zetterstrom's contract. He's out of contract in the summer of 2027, and as it stands right now, a deal which I have discussed, Derby County are behind the scenes weighing up their options for offering him a new bumper contract. Now, that would put Zetterstrom as probably one of the highest paid players at Derby County, and it would also massively increase his value. But is this deal to Nottingham Forest actually going to happen? Now, obviously, Derby County are already sitting on the edge of potential interest from Brentford and a range of other teams across the course of England and Europe. And what we're sort of doing in this sort of position at the moment is we're just sort of not counting our chickens before they hatch at the end of the day, because what we need to do is we just need to make sure that whatever money we do receive for Zetterstrom, it is in line with what we deserve. And I think that Zetterstrom has been an unbelievable performer for Derby County. Obviously, if we go back, it was about 15 months ago when Derby County signed Zetterstrom for around £1.5 million, rising up to 2.2. It's a very, very interesting situation. Now, a lot of people early on in this season gave Zetterstrom a lot of undue criticism, in my personal opinion, and obviously wanted Zetterstrom dropped for Josh Vickers. Obviously, that deal never ended up happening with him moving on to Brentford. Obviously, they never ended up getting dropped, and he's been absolutely incredible recently. A huge part of the reason why Derby County have won 6 out of their last 7 games, and they're sort of in a really good spot. Now, there's a possibility that Derby County get promoted this year, and although I personally believe that it is a little bit too early for Derby County to get promoted, I think we're sort of definitely moving into the right direction of where we need to be in that sort of discussion. Now, obviously, when it comes to Zetterstrom, since he's come in, he's pretty much started every single game he's been available for. There's only a couple of games where he hasn't, which have usually been in relation to cup fixtures and things like that. And obviously at the back end of last year, I think he missed the final, I think it was 4 games due to an injury, which Josh Vickers stepped in and did absolutely amazing. Now, do I think Derby County are in a good position if Zetterstrom was to leave the club? I don't think we're in a terrible position. So long as we make a profit on Zetterstrom, and I mean a heavy profit, because he's not a £2 million goalkeeper anymore with the performances he's put in. You look at the money being spent around the Championship and Premier League, he's not a £2 million goalkeeper anymore. Derby County will make profit, and it'll put them in a great position. Now, the only problem that we have with that is for Derby County to then reinvest and bring in another goalkeeper of equal quality or better, they're going to have to spend a chunk of that as well, which isn't a problem. Of course it isn't, because that's the whole point of bringing in players like Zetterstrom. You look at players like Max Johnston as well. You even look at Patrick Adjimang and things like that. The likes of bringing in those players is looking to what is going to happen in the future and sort of how we can profit off them, whether it be a promotion to the Premier League, whether it be we sell them on for double what we bought them for. They're the sort of situations that Derby County are sort of in at the moment, and that's what we sort of need to be keeping an eye on when we're sort of discussing this deal, which obviously Nottingham Forest aren't the only team that are interested in Zetterstrom, but they're certainly the one which are being given the most interest as of right now, as per that of Football Insider. Now, obviously, Forest have a chunk of keepers on their books, and bringing in Zetterstrom doesn't really make much sense for Zetterstrom's future. But obviously, Forest aren't particularly bothered about an individual player. They just want the best possible squad available to them, which is the same at every single club in world football. They want the best players available in every single position. You want your first choice goalkeeper to be brilliant. You want your second choice keeper to just be a little bit behind, if not on the same level. And that's what I think puts Derby County in a difficult position right now. If we do offer Zetterstrom a new deal, we're not going to be able to offer the same amount of money as Forest will, that are in the Europa League, whatever they're in. And it puts us in a really difficult position. Obviously, you've got Brentford as well that can offer Premier League money who are interested. And I think it's a really difficult position we find ourselves in at the moment, where if Zetterstrom was to move on, I think, don't get me wrong, Derby could replace him. I think Derby could easily replace him. Not an issue at all. There's plenty of goalkeepers in the world. And I think if you look at the quality of Josh Vickers, I'm not saying Josh Vickers is as good as Zetterstrom, because I don't believe that to be the case. But if you look at Josh Vickers, he's easily a championship quality goalkeeper. I don't think he's a first choice goalkeeper for a top championship team, but I think he can play at this level easily, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think we saw that towards the end of last season. Now, the big sort of discussion that we have to keep our eyes upon in regards to this is how finding a replacement would go, because are Derby County going to go and look at the likes of Sweden, at the likes of Norway, at the likes of Brazil maybe, to try and bring in these players and to replace Zetterstrom? In my personal opinion, I've got no fucking idea. And that's what makes this really difficult, because as much as we all love Zetterstrom, and we all know that he has a ceiling, as does every player, and is that ceiling the championship? We're not entirely sure right now. But what we've got to do is make sure that we maximise our return on Zetterstrom before we take the step above where he can go, because he's only going to look good while we are how we are right now. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that develops over the course of the next few months, because I do think Zetterstrom is a very, very good goalkeeper. Top level at the championship, in fact. And it will be interesting to see what comes next from Derby County and sort of how that position is developed. Because for me, Zetterstrom's got to be 10, 15 million quid. And you look at the fact we spent 1.5 to 2.5 on him. And you look at who else is out there that's within that price range and can perform to that level, and then maybe 10 times his value within 12 months. That's something that we've got to look at. And I think we've got a brilliant recruitment team at the moment. Lee Bromby's done an amazing job this summer, and hopefully that can continue into the January window. Obviously, there was a lot of rumours about Ebo Adams. Obviously, they've quietened down now with the injuries to David Ozo and Lewis Travis. But who knows what could happen during January? Obviously, Bobby Clark, there's rumours of a £5 million clause, but we're going to have to wait and see. Now, obviously, you can let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments if you have not done so already. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. This has been the Derby Digest. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.